Hi everyone on YouTube, this is Silver Lightsaber, and I am back just as promised. A little later than I promised, and I am sorry about that, but I'm here to do the Q&A with my favorite questions and comments that I found on the last video. I want to thank you everybody who left a comment. It was much appreciated. So without further ado, let's get into the comments and let's have a little fun. This first comment, I've actually heard this a few times, so I'm going to start with this question first, and I chose to go with the nicest one. Nicest way of saying it. Thank you very much, guys. This is from Nicholas R. Why are starting to look like Christopher Nolan? And of course, I think Nicholas is talking about my hair. It's no secret, people who see me, that I am balding. I don't have the hair I used to a year or two ago. And the answer is very simple. It's nothing that I've done. My family has balding, the men in my family. And it just so happens that I got the genes. I'm 23 years old now. I started this channel when I was 16 years old. That's 7 years. There's going to be a difference. I'm going to show signs of aging. I'm going to look different. I'm going to sound different. And if you look at some of the older videos I made back in 2007, you'll see a change. I have facial hair now. It's another big change. So yeah, I don't have the same hair I used to. Am I happy about it? Not really. But I still think I look pretty good. And to be perfectly honest, I'm kind of tempted to do the whole Michael Rosenbaum look and just shave it off if this goes anymore. It's kind of been going over the last year dramatically, so if it gets any worse, I'm just going to go for it and take it off. But we'll cross that bridge when I come to it. It's nobody's business but mine, so I appreciate people asking politely, but that's the honest truth. It's just the genes I have, and it's a look that I'm going with. I'm happy with it. I don't feel too bad about it. I'm self-conscious, yes, a little, but it's just the genes I have, and you got to work with what you got. And you can look sexy still bald. I mean, there's plenty of actors out there. I just said Michael Rosenbaum. He's a great example. So, moving on, get into some actual good questions here. This one's from Darth Mischief 93. What are your thoughts on the CW's Arrow? Have you seen it? And if so, what are your thoughts of them spinning off a Flash series from it? I have seen Arrow. It is one of my favorite shows, which I was very surprised by. I really love the direction they're taking the character of Arrow. At first I was a little concerned that they were going just too dark and it was too much of a Batman ripoff, but the people who were saying this have to remember that Green Arrow really is very similar to Batman. They're both billionaire playboys. They're both born out of tragedy. They both go after their city and try to go after crime directly, and they're brute force. They're dark Avengers. Just so happens Batman is more gothic and more scary than Green Arrow is. Green Arrow, depending on the interpretation, he can be fun and charming, or he can be more brooding and serious like this Arrow and other versions like in the Longbow Hunters. A fantastic storyline for Green Arrow. I really like this Arrow. It's really grown on me. I'm hoping that as the series progresses, he'll get more of a rounded personality and not be so broody and dark all of the time. But with that said, I love it. I love the tone. I've really gotten used to it. And it is kind of like having a Batman show. We're never, ever going to have... Well, maybe I shouldn't say never, ever. But we're never really, in the near future, going to have a Batman weekly show in the tone of a dark, serious Batman. The only thing we're going to get is Batman animated shows, because they want to keep the Batman films their own thing, as they should. So Arrow really is the closest thing we're going to get, because the character is so similar. So yes, I love the show. The idea of Flash bringing in the show, being brought in, I love that Flash is finally coming onto the screen, and I can't wait to see it. I really want to see a Flash film, though. I think this is a character that's big enough to debut on a film. But I think Warner Brothers is pretty nervous about putting another character that's not Batman or Superman or even Wonder Woman, dare I say, in their own standalone film going off of Green Lantern, which was a big disaster. But I don't think that was because of the character Green Lantern and not being popular enough. I just think it's because the movie was just all over the place and kind of looked and sounded like it was made 10 years ago, before they got the superhero formula down and before people started demanding quality out of their superhero films. Could they make a Flash movie today and make it good? Absolutely. Could Flash hold his own TV show? Absolutely he could. Take a look at the old 90s Flash TV show, for example. It's cheesy, it's corny, but it actually has some pretty cool, dark episodes, and really cool episodes. And it was ahead of its time, in my opinion. I think if you look back at that Flash show, I think it's almost Smallville-esque as far as their kind of dramatic storytelling and still keeping it fun, that kind of balance between the two. So, in short, I love that they're bringing Flash into the Green Arrow show, and I'm very curious to see where this is going to go and how it's going to affect the films. This one's from Mr. Movie Guy 18. Besides editing, what is another hobby you enjoy? I love working out. I don't work out nearly as much as I used to. I used to go 3 to 5 times a week at the gym. Now I do mostly work out at home. I started a yoga program recently called DDP Yoga. I've lost about 12, 13 pounds over 2 months. I've toned up, gained some muscle mass, which I'm very proud of. And I'm working on it. I like feeling good. Having a good, healthy body and feeling good about yourself, I think, is very important, because self-confidence goes a really long way. And I've always been very self-conscious, and I think feeling physically good is a part of feeling emotionally good and feeling good about yourself, which can carry you a long way in what you want to do. I love to read. I don't read nearly as much as I should, to be honest. I try to keep up a lot with some shows, but it can be tricky because I don't have Netflix as of now, so I try to go on demand and watch what I can. I buy a lot of my shows. Right now I just got done watching the complete series of Justice League, which I loved. The reason why I never got into that show at the time was because every single episode in the first season, or 2 seasons, was a 2-parter. And going week to week at a 2-parter, I just couldn't stand at the time. Looking back at it now and seeing it, I can totally understand why they did 2-parters, because the stories are so fantastic. And the show was such a great success. I love it very much. I think I watched Beast Wars. I'm watching that right now, which I grew up with. So I watch a lot of shows too. I watch shows, I read, I work out. I love music. I love to go out to see concerts when I can. So yeah, I try to get out, but mainly my passions revolve around film. Film editing, it's what I want to do with my life. So that is my major hobby. It's a unique one, but I'm a unique guy. So there you go. This one's from Zangle8. What's your favorite graphic novel? Well, most people will say The Dark Knight Returns or Watchmen, and those are the greatest graphic novels, in my opinion. But my personal favorite graphic novel is probably Batman: The Long Halloween. I love that graphic novel so much. Not to say that all the other ones I've read aren't fantastic. Other great ones are Superman Birthright. I love that graphic novel. Green Arrow Year One, that's another fantastic graphic novel. Dark Knight Returns and Watchmen obviously are classics, and nothing can top that. But if I had to pick one above the rest, it'd be Batman: The Long Halloween. That is my favorite. I love the drawings. Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale are my favorite writer-artist duo. So anything by them I'll read. I've read a few others that they've done. They also did Superman for All Seasons. They did a graphic novel called X-Men Gambit story. I forget what it's called at the moment, but that was fantastic. I just love that style. And those two really bounce off each other so well. And so that's my favorite graphic novel, Batman: The Long Halloween. It was drawing a lot of inspiration for The Dark Knight. So anyone who's a fan of that movie, The Dark Knight, and wants to read something kind of in that vein, I strongly suggest picking up The Long Halloween. It's a fantastic story. And it's probably one of the best Harvey Dent Two-Face stories you're going to find. This one's from Brandon Boyle. What is your idea of a perfect Batman movie franchise, i.e. the tone, the look, whether to include Robin, etc.? What is it you'd like to see, or has it already been done? Wow, Brandon, that's a very, very tough question. My perfect Batman movie, I guess my favorite Batman movie is Batman 89. That's my favorite Batman movie for nostalgic reasons, but also because Michael Keaton is my favorite Batman Bruce Wayne combination. Hopefully that'll change in time. I'd love to see someone top that, but I it's going to take some serious doing. Not even Christian Bale could top that, and he's an Academy Award winner. As far as the tone, there are fantastic Batman fan films out there. There's a company called Bat in the Sun Productions who does incredible Batman fan films. So if I were to pick a tone of a Batman movie, I would choose something in that vein. If you've seen the movie Patient J or Batman Legends, which is kind of a montage of clips that Bat in the Sun did. City of Scars, fantastic movie. Seeds of Arkham. All those movies, the tone is spot on. It's gritty, it's gothic, and it's brutal. Tonally wise, that is my ideal Batman movie. The look of a Batman movie, I would say the Tim Burton 89 Batman. I wouldn't go all Art Deco all over the place, but as far as the bat suit and the grimy, mucky look of Gotham City, I don't think it's been topped in the 89 Batman movie. That is my favorite look. So the design, definitely go for 89 Batman, which Bat in the Sun kind of adopts and does in kind of a real world style. That's part of the reason why I love that so much. So if I had to pick a favorite movie franchise to follow or to kind of bounce off of, it would be the Bat in the Sun movies, which I highly suggest you check out. You can include Robin and make it a fantastic Batman movie. I believe you can. We haven't seen a movie that's done it too well. Batman Forever was fair. I love the Robin in that movie. I think that was a pretty great attempt, but we definitely can see better. In fact, I read a few articles on ways to bring Robin in the Christopher Nolan movies before we got John Blake, who's Robin in name only, really, but it's a wonderful nod. I think a Robin can definitely work, but he needs to be adapted heavily in order to make it viable for today's audience, because we can't have us boy in spandex with this weird, well, gay-looking, politically incorrect, sorry, but gay-looking outfit. It doesn't work. I think a Robin who's like maybe like a street urchin who's has a hood and he wears like his circus outfit to honor his mother and father. Batman sees him out of the night on patrol one night. Something like that. A Robin that is kind of mysterious and then Batman has to capture, not as a villain, but just give Robin some edge. You need to give Robin some edge. Make him probably not 12 or 13. That doesn't work in my opinion. Make him probably more like 15 or 16, maybe 17 at the latest. That would work in my opinion. I'd love to see it happen someday. Next question is from Metalhead Grace. I am sure you are busy and that's the reason for you not posting as much, but do you plan to eventually post more content more frequently in the future? Well, Metalhead Grace, if I'm going to give you a perfectly honest answer, the answer is no. I've been on YouTube since 2006. I've made over 100 videos, edited videos, blogs, you name it. YouTube was my hobby through high school, and I dedicated hours upon hours upon hours of time to it. Now, I'm graduating college. I'm in a place in time where I need to spend my free time honing my professional editing skills and move past fan editing, which is no disrespect to any fan editors out there. If you want to do it, by all means, go for it. I love it. I love the community. But as far as how I spend my time, what I need to focus on, it's not something I can do anymore. You're not going to see me edit videos, trailers, tributes, whatever, like bi-weekly anymore. That's not going to happen. They happen out of inspiration now at this point. The Superman video that I made a few weeks ago is a great example of that. I did that because I was inspired to do it. And in my opinion, those are the best videos to make. Is when you're inspired with an idea. Don't make it just because you feel like you have to pump something out. That's the worst way to make a video. You have to make it because you're passionate about it. It has to be something that you really like. And I've made so many, and I've pretty much made all the kinds I want to make, that I'm not burnt out, but I've done everything I want to. Do I love putting them out there? Absolutely. Do I love making people like excited and start comments? Yes. But the answer is no. I'm not going to be posting videos more frequently in the future because I'm focusing on getting a career jump started. And if I focus on videos strictly for YouTube, that's not going to happen, and I'm not going to make that jump that I need to make. But when it happens, I'm going to update you and I'm going to tell you about it. And there are some exciting things going on in my personal life that hopefully I can tell you about in the future. And you'll see why I don't make tribute videos and all these stuff anymore. And instead, I'll have moved on to the next step, which is, I think, what everybody and anybody would want to do. Next question is from the Mika Enigma. Which film are you more looking forward to? Avengers 2, Age of Ultron, or the Justice League? Come on. I'm a DC guy. You're asking a huge Batman DC guy if he wants to watch Avengers 2 or the Justice League. I'm not even going to answer that. You should know what I'm going to say. But breaking it down, Avengers 2 is probably going to be fantastic. We just learned a few days ago that James Spader was cast as the voice of Ultron. I think that's fantastic. Spader has such a intimidating, powerful voice when he wants to use it. So I think that's fantastic casting. I can't wait to see what he does with it. Justice League has a lot of work to do. So I think it's going to be a very long time before I see that movie. But if 2015 Justice League were going to happen, and I had the choice between seeing one or the other, Justice League, hands down. But Avengers 2 is going to be really something special and really cool. I'm really curious to see how the franchise is going to move forward past Avengers 1, because that was such a huge mark, and the momentum was unbelievable. Arguably, maybe more than The Dark Knight, dare I say. But the anticipation and the sheer fan excitement and momentum going into that movie was incredible. So I don't know if we're ever going to see that again. But The Dark Knight, I mean, in my opinion, Dark Knight is not only the greatest comic book movie of all time made, but had the most incredible momentum and all of that. But my point is that Avengers 2, how is it going to move forward? Is it going to match what Avengers 1 did in terms of success and excitement? Where's it going to go? That's what I'm so curious about. Justice League, they need to start building and build this kind of event type thing like they did with Avengers. But the trick with that is all the DC solo movies are events in themselves. They're huge movies. Marvel movies, I would say, are also big movies, but they're not huge in the same way. Man of Steel was an event. Thor 2, not an event. Iron Man 3, not an event. But successful, huge movies. But they're not event movies that fans wait, and go, wow, I can't wait to see this. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be the benchmark of the summer. In my opinion. So, Justice League over Avengers 2. I can't wait to see Avengers 2. That's going to be fantastic. This is from Agent Schnorkel. Excellent username. If you still follow some wrestling, what are your thoughts on today's top wrestlers? Okay, Schnorkel, I'm going to be honest. I stopped watching wrestling not for good, but I stopped watching around 2009, 2010, because I watched WWE religiously growing up. I loved WWE, and I watched the Attitude Era. Unfortunately, I watched after it was over, but I watched everything when I learned about it. ECW, the Monday Night Wars with WCW, I loved everything about it. But around 2006, that's when I really saw the WWE focusing on John Cena, and I didn't mind. I love the fact John Cena is their poster boy. I've grown to really respect him and love how much work and energy he puts into the company. But in 2006, that's when they started really molding John Cena from the flagship guy into Super Cena. I think that was the birth of Super Cena. And if you don't know what that is, it's that when John Cena will win every match he's booked in, not put on too great of matches. Now, granted, he's had fantastic matches lately in the last few years. But at the time, he was the same thing over and over, same shtick, same promos, nothing really changed. I didn't really like the character Edge at the time. I was a huge Edge head back in the day, 2002, 2003. I loved Edge. When he cut his hair and became the rated R superstar, I didn't really care for it. And it took a long time to warm up to it. And I'm still, if I had to pick, I really like the long hair Edge more. So that's when I stopped watching in 2006. I thought it was getting way too losing its edge. It wasn't about wrestling anymore. The storylines were getting stupid and ridiculous. They had a stupid Rosie O'Donnell, Donald Trump skit on Monday Night Raw that was just awful. And the audience started chanting TNA. So I jumped on board to TNA in about 2005. And I was a huge Christian Cage fan. I loved Cage. When Kurt Angle signed, I was marking out huge. I loved that. But again, when TNA started, I think, swerving, not going downhill, but swerving and changing their product, I think was around 2008, 2009. And it became less about the athletic ability and the matches, which were still great at the time, but the booking was just so all over the place. So I kind of fell out of love with TNA. Now I'm in this weird place where my wrestling library is huge. I have VHSs, I have DVDs. In fact, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I have documentaries that sometimes I fall asleep watching. Like, I put it on at night, and then I go to sleep watching it. And it's on repeat. That honest truth. So I do love some wrestlers. The Undertaker is one of my all-time favorites. He may be my favorite. The Rock, Stone Cold, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, you name it. I love these guys. So, to answer your question, do I follow any of today's wrestlers? Not really. Randy Orton, I followed him when his career was just beginning, so I love that he's one of the cornerstones of the company now. John Cena, I've really grown to come around to and really love and respect his work. I still think that it'd be great if the WWE would have more types of faces. I love CM Punk. CM Punk is definitely the guy who kind of brought me back into watching WWE more regularly. So I love CM Punk. I think that his character was definitely slowed down when they had such incredible momentum with his pipe bomb, which shocked everybody and excited everybody. And now he's kind of become just another wrestler, an awesome wrestler, and a great character. But he's lost a lot of his edge, to be honest. Don't know really anybody else. A lot of the top wrestlers I only know by name. Dolph Ziggler, The Shield, Axel, Kurt Axel. These guys I don't know. Just being honest. That'll change in the future, maybe. I'm sure I still watch the shows every once in a while. I watch them on YouTube a lot. If they rub shoulders with guys like Randy Orton, Shawn Michaels, and CM Punk, John Cena, then I'm going to learn more about them. Daniel Bryan, I love Daniel Bryan. He's very entertaining and he has good matches. So there's one guy. Sheamus, I guess, more or less. I don't know. So I don't really follow it too much, but I'm always a fan. I probably always will be. Wrestling always has a special place in my heart. Next question is from Shadow the Dark Slayer. What video games are you into? Are you into Capcom games such as Resident Evil series and Devil May Cry series? This is a very easy question to answer. No, I am not really into video games. Since I started my graveyard shift job 2 years ago, I have stopped playing games pretty much altogether, and that is the honest truth. I was big into Guitar Hero and the music games. I love those. Big into fighting games for a while. Mortal Kombat DC, I love that even though it got kind of bad reviews. Mortal Kombat, great game. Injustice Gods Among Us I got to play recently. That was a fantastic game. I love playing more classic games. My PlayStation 2 still gets played regularly. I have a Sega Genesis back there, which I've had since I was 4 years old, the same one. I love that so much. So I don't really play too many new games. To be honest, if I have $60, I don't feel comfortable buying an Xbox game or a PS3 game. I just won't do it. I'd much rather spend it on like a collector's Blu-ray or something really cool to put on my shelf or something along those lines. I feel much more comfortable and cool doing that than buying a game that I'm only going to play maybe a few times a week. Next question. is from Julian M. And this is a good question. I like this one. What were the films that shaped your childhood? Well, Julian, Hook is the easy answer. I loved Hook so much. That was my Peter Pan. And Dustin Hoffman's Hook, still the quintessential Captain Hook in my opinion. I love him so much. Rufio, Robin Williams really is the grown-up Peter Pan. That casting was perfect. Not a perfect film, but for the nostalgic reasons, and the score is gorgeous. John Williams. So that was a huge one that shaped my childhood. The Lion King, I used to sing verbatim. I loved that. In fact, I think I used to sound a lot like Simba before I, got a little older. I used to sing I Just Can't Wait to Be King. I would roll around and play just like Simba would when I watched the movie. It was great. I was huge into Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. Power Rangers dominated my childhood. So that movie was just huge. I remember buying the McDonald's toys for that movie, which was a big event at the time. What some other films that I loved growing up? Double Dragon, funny enough. I know that was a really bad movie, but I can't help it. I used to watch that movie all the time, and I love it just for nostalgic reasons. I know it's not a good movie, but I think it has a certain charm to it, in that it's bad, but it's so cheesy 90s. It's good, sort of way. You can disagree with me completely, but that's how I feel. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies, 1 and 2, I loved those. Those were big growing up for me also. I used to do the Ninja Rap with Vanilla Ice, which I remember. So yeah, those were big movies growing up for me. The Batman movies, obviously, it's another big one. I remember 7 years old, loving Batman and Robin, if I'm being perfectly honest, but I was their target demographic, so I don't beat myself up too bad for that, because I wasn't old enough to know what a good or bad movie was. All I saw was Batman on the screen, and lots of flashy lights. But Batman '89 was the first movie I actually remember seeing. It's the first image I can remember is seeing the Joker, Jack Nicholson, on the ground, slammed in the pavement with the camera panning down on him. And I thought at like 2 or 3 years old, maybe 4, that wasn't the Joker, that he was actually a robot, and the Joker was still out there, like in Gotham, and he was going to come back. I remember thinking that. I think the earliest memory I have watching a movie in a theater was The Lion King at a drive-through. Still etched in my memory is this image of Scar walking across Pride Rock, looking down at the stampede, and it's only an image that lasts like 2 seconds, but he's like studying Mufasa and Simba running for their lives, and he's almost enjoying it. That image is etched in my mind. I remember that so clearly. In fact, I also remember in '97 I went and saw Liar Liar and Batman and Robin. It was a double feature. I remember going to see that. I think I vaguely remember watching Batman Forever at a drive-in theater. I used to love the drive-in. So, I hope that answered your question. All right, everybody, this last question is actually from a big YouTube hero of mine. I look up to this guy a lot. I think he's one of the best editors on the internet, and I'm very appreciative that he left a question for me. So, thank you very much. It's from Cache2003. I apologize if I mispronounced that. What inspired you to start making fan-edited trailers? And which of your videos do you favor the most? What got me started was back in 2006, I started going to the gym regularly. And I hated doing cardio. Cardio was my least favorite and still is my least favorite thing to do when I'm at the gym. But I just bought an iPod at the time, and I started listening to music. And that helped a lot. It helped having a soundtrack to keep you motivated, and it does for everybody, really. But being on a bike and being on a treadmill machine, I felt like there was something else I wanted. I wanted something to look at, like a TV show. And I tried watching the TVs around, but I couldn't really enjoy it and focus on it. So I thought to myself, okay, well, if I have something playing with my earbuds in, maybe I can enjoy that more easily and be more focused on what I'm doing. So I started buying stuff on iTunes and watching movies on there, but and it worked a little bit. And then I found out my computer could make a slideshow. So I thought, oh great, I'll sync some of my favorite pictures of I think the first thing I did was actually a wrestling slideshow, going back to wrestling. It was a wrestling slideshow of TNA wrestling superstars, and I made a wrestling slideshow with a song in the background that was really cool that I thought at the time, and that was the first video I ever made, and I enjoyed it. I loved putting it on there. And then I got on YouTube and I saw videos by people, and I forget what the first fan video I ever saw. The first fight. No, I remember now. It was a fan video called Batman versus Superman, and it was by Ruskafin, I believe. And I was in awe how he took clips of Dean Cain's Superman and Michael Keaton Batman and made a legitimate fight and battle between the two at the time. That was back in 2006, 2005, so obviously things have come a long way since then. People have done a lot more videos, but there were none at the time, and I thought that was just so cool. I thought that was the coolest thing out there. And I thought to myself, wow, if I ever can, I'm going to try to make videos like that. So I started having a little fun with it and practicing here and there and experimenting. And I found that people weren't making these versus videos, even though the ones that I made at the time were really catching on. People really love seeing these things. In fact, the one that really I'm most proud of, and unfortunately I had to take down because I was so close to closing my channel at the time, was Joker versus Joker, Heath Ledger versus Jack Nicholson. That video exploded. I think it peaked at 2.5 million views before I took it down. It had like a dozen honors within 1 month, and I had no idea how to take that. I hate that I never recorded what honors it got, but it had like most discussed, top rated, in countries like Sweden and Germany and United States and all these different things. The honors were crazy. I loved that. But I was just confused. I was like, well, they're YouTube honors. Maybe they're easy to get. I didn't realize how hard they are to get, but it continued to climb. And the one honor that it kept, even 3 or 4 years afterwards, was most discussed of all time. And I think it peaked at number 57, and then it stayed at number 63, 64. It stayed there. It never stopped. And I was extremely proud of that. I loved that very much. So that's when I realized, wow, there really is a demand for versus videos and fan trailers. And there really weren't a lot of them at the time. Now there are everywhere. There are fan trailers for everything. Now I'm not going to toot my own horn and say that, oh, I'm very proud I started that. I didn't start that. I contributed to it, I will admit. I was one of the first people who really caught on that trend and really not capitalized, but really enjoyed making those things when no one else really was at the time. I'm talking about 2007, 2008. There really weren't that many. And if there were, they weren't being pumped out regularly. I was pumping them out at a very regular pace. I was pumping out maybe 1 or 2 a month. And to give you an idea, videos like that take hours and hours of work. But I did it so often to the point where I could make a video in a week. I knew the films so well that I could go scene to scene and mark, this guy said this here, I might be able to use that, that scene has that. That's where I learned about cutting and editing styles. I learned about long shots. I learned all about this type of camera angles, vectors, eyeline matches, all these things I never would have learned if it wasn't for playing with the footage and editing and fan editing. Video that I'm most proud of, that I love the most, man, that's tough. That's like choosing one of your favorite children. Probably the one that I love the most or enjoy the most, and I would love to do another version, was the World's Finest one I did with Michael Keaton and Christopher Reeve. That's probably my favorite. If I had to choose a favorite, that's my favorite. Because those two really are Batman and Superman to me. They're the classic Batman and Superman. Nobody ever, ever, ever will top them. No matter how good people will get. And they're so real. The effects aren't computer generated. So there's there's a tangible quality to the films that I don't think any other film will have, because the effects have evolved so heavily, and people demand that type of look in the films nowadays. But if you rewatch Batman '89, you rewatch Superman the movie, especially that one, everything is done with in camera, and all the effects are practical and Stan Winston like, and especially Superman the movie, everything's very experimental and revolutionary with the flying effects, which still hold up today. Some of the shots really still look fantastic. But seeing Christopher Reeve and Michael Keaton interact, and being able to have them team up, have them fight, have Joker and Gene Hackman team up and fight, it's a dream. I love that, and no one has done that, and I'm extremely proud of that. Probably the video I show people outside of YouTube, I've showed a few times. In fact, I've had some college professors use this in classes, which I'm proud of, is the Blade Batman video I did. And I was shocked to see how well that video goes together. Those two films are cut together. I still think that's probably the most real-looking video I ever did, with those two characters talking and interacting with each other. I love that. I love that so much. And the biggest compliment I ever get on videos, and ever did get, was when people would say, "I hate you because you make me want this to be real." Or, "I saw this and thought it was real, and I found out it wasn't, and now I hate you." Or it's like something so, not mean-spirited, but the fact that I did such a legitimate, cool job to make it look as real as possible, which is my intent. Because I love trailer making, and I love that style. I think it's an art form that people can learn if they play and experiment with things, which is all I ever meant to do. I never meant to hurt copyright, or I never meant to make money, ever, 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 never, never. It's only been to have fun and to get people looking and talking. That's all it's ever been about. And I think I've done that and had a lot of fun with it. So that video was a blast. I could go on about other videos, but I won't. I'll just leave it at those two. Those two are probably my favorites, if I had to pick. So thank you for the question, Cache. And keep up the good work. I hope to see stuff from you. All right, guys. I think that's everything. Thank you very much for your questions and comments. I will continue to try to be on YouTube, but like I've said, my time is really devoted to trying to jumpstart a career now at this point, and I want to get something moving and get the wheels turning. I will continue to be on YouTube. I love my channel. I love the people on it, and I can't tell you how grateful I am for the years I've been on here and the amount of support I've gotten from everyone. It's really touched my heart, and it's been something really special and something I never, ever, ever thought I would get. The fact I have is just unbelievable. So thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. I love you guys. And like I always say, I'm Silver Lightsaber. And I'll see you later.